Improve yourself 1% every day. Every day presents a new opportunity for growth, but often we get overwhelmed by the idea of making massive changes. We look at others who have achieved greatness and wonder how they did it, thinking we need to take big leaps to make a difference. But the truth is, it's not the giant leaps that create lasting change, it's the small steps, the small improvements that add up over time. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of improving yourself by just 1% every single day. Improving yourself by just 1% every day may sound like a modest, even insignificant goal at first. After all, what's the point of such a small change? How can something so small have any meaningful impact on your life? Yet, when we step back and view improvement through the lens of time, we begin to understand the incredible power behind this idea. The real truth is that it's not the big, sweeping changes that create lasting growth and transformation. It's the small, consistent improvements, the marginal gains that add up to remarkable results over time. Think about the concept of compound interest in finance. If you invest a small amount of money and let it grow over time, it begins to grow exponentially. A small initial investment, when nurtured daily, leads to a much larger return than you might have expected. The same principle applies to personal development. Improving by just 1% every day might seem small in the moment, but when these efforts accumulate, the results can be profound. At the end of the year, that 1% improvement every day doesn't just result in 365% improvement, it compounds, meaning you'll be much more than just 365% better. The changes accumulate and build upon each other, creating a much more significant impact than you might have anticipated when you first started. To understand the power of small improvements, we need to break down what happens when you improve by 1% every day. If you improve by just 1% each day, after 30 days, you'll be 30% better than when you started. While this may seem modest, consider how many areas of your life could benefit from even a 30% improvement. Think about your productivity at work, your physical health, or your emotional well-being. A 30% improvement can lead to tangible changes, but this is just the beginning. Over the course of a year, those small improvements compound to over 37 times better. This exponential growth is a result of the power of consistency, the commitment to showing up every single day and taking small steps toward your goals, even when those steps don't feel monumental. The idea of improving yourself by just 1% each day is based on the principle that small, positive changes, when repeated consistently, have the power to lead to extraordinary results. The key here is that these improvements don't require monumental effort. They don't require a complete overhaul of your life or massive shifts in your behavior. Instead, it's about making small, intentional improvements in the things that matter most to you. These daily improvements may come in many forms: learning something new, exercising for a few minutes longer, improving your diet by choosing healthier options, or building better relationships by spending more quality time with the people you care about. At the core of this philosophy is the idea of consistency. It's easy to get excited about making big changes, but it's much harder to sustain those changes over time. We've all been there, starting a new habit with full enthusiasm, only to fall off track after a few days or weeks. The key to long-term success isn't in the big leaps, but in the steady, consistent effort put in each day, no matter how small. If you focus on improving yourself by just 1% every day, the habit becomes part of your daily routine. It's not about reaching perfection, it's about progress. And when progress is your focus, you're less likely to be discouraged by setbacks or slow results. Another important aspect of improving by 1% every day is that it helps to build momentum. When you commit to taking small steps each day, you start to see results, even if they're small. That initial success provides motivation, and soon that motivation becomes a driving force that propels you forward. The more you improve, the more you begin to believe in your ability to make lasting changes. Over time, the small steps you take each day accumulate and lead to greater levels of confidence and self-esteem. When you see the progress you're making, it reinforces the belief that you are capable of achieving your goals. Consistency also teaches us about resilience. Not every day will feel like a big success. There will be days when the improvements seem barely noticeable, and there will be times when life gets in the way. But when you make a commitment to improving 1% every day, it gives you a reason to keep going, even when it feels like you're not making much progress. The beauty of small incremental changes is that they allow for setbacks and mistakes without derailing your entire journey. You simply keep going because you know that over time, even the smallest improvement adds up. One of the most powerful aspects of improving yourself by 1% every day is that it allows you to focus on the process rather than just the outcome. When we set out to achieve a big goal, it's easy to get caught up in the desire for immediate results. We want to see the fruits of our labor right away, and when we don't, we become frustrated or disheartened. But improvement by 1% shifts the focus from the end result to the daily actions that lead to that result. It encourages us to enjoy the journey and trust that the effort we put in today will pay off in the long run. It also reminds us that growth is not linear. There will be days of progress and days of stagnation, but as long as we continue to put in the effort, the results will follow. In the end, improving yourself by just 1% every day is about embracing the power of small actions and committing to the process of growth. It's about acknowledging that even the smallest improvements matter, and that over time, those small changes will lead to a profound transformation. When we focus on consistent, incremental growth, we shift our mindset from one of perfectionism and instant results to one of patience, persistence, and progress. And that mindset, when applied consistently, leads to a life of continuous growth and remarkable achievements. So take that first step today. Commit to improving by just 1% every day, and watch as the power of small changes leads to extraordinary results. When we set out to improve ourselves, it's natural to focus on the end goal, the final achievement we hope to reach. We imagine what our lives will look like once we've achieved success, whether it's in our careers, health, relationships, or personal growth. However, focusing solely on the end result can often lead to frustration and disappointment. This is where the idea of focusing on the process rather than perfection becomes vital. Improvement isn't about getting everything right from the start or reaching an idealized version of ourselves. It's about the consistent daily actions we take to move forward, no matter how small, that truly matter. The desire for perfection is one of the most common obstacles people face when trying to improve. We tend to set high standards for ourselves, aiming to be flawless in our endeavors. But perfection is not only an unrealistic expectation, it's often paralyzing. The fear of not getting something exactly right can lead to inaction. We wait for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect plan before we take the first step. This type of thinking keeps us stuck in a cycle of hesitation, and we never move forward. Instead of aiming for perfection, it's far more productive to focus on progress. Progress is measured by the small, daily efforts we make to improve, even when they don't lead to immediate results. These incremental improvements may seem insignificant at first, but over time they add up to something substantial. If we constantly strive for perfection, we risk losing sight of how much we can grow simply by focusing on the process itself. Focusing on the process means dedicating ourselves to the small actions that move us toward our goals without becoming fixated on the outcome. When we focus on the process, we shift our mindset from the pressure of achieving perfection to the satisfaction of simply showing up and doing the work. Whether it's getting a little better each day, learning something new, or taking steps, however small, toward our goals, we are consistently moving forward. One of the benefits of focusing on the process rather than perfection is that it allows us to develop resilience. When we stop expecting perfection, we give ourselves permission to fail, to make mistakes, and to learn from those failures. After all, growth is often a messy process. It involves trial and error, setbacks, and learning through experience. Embracing the process means being comfortable with imperfection and using each setback as a stepping stone to improvement. By focusing on progress instead of perfection, we also free ourselves from the constant pressure of comparison. It's easy to look at others and feel like we're not doing enough, or that we're not measuring up. Social media, in particular, can exacerbate this feeling as we often see the curated highlights of other people's lives. We compare their achievements, their successes, and their seemingly perfect lives to our own journey, forgetting that everyone's process is different. We all have our own struggles, our own timelines, and our own unique challenges to face. When we embrace the process, we stop looking to others for validation and instead focus on our own progress. Another advantage of focusing on the process is that it encourages us to take ownership of our growth. When we concentrate on the journey, we stop relying on external validation or immediate results to feel accomplished. Instead, we take pride in the daily actions we take, knowing that each small effort contributes to our overall development. This sense of ownership fosters self-discipline and a sense of accountability to ourselves rather than to others. We stop looking for shortcuts or quick fixes and instead commit to the long-term work that will truly lead to lasting change. The process-oriented approach also helps us avoid the trap of all or nothing thinking. Too often, we fall into the mindset that if we can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. For example, we may tell ourselves that if we can't work out for an hour, there's no point in exercising at all. Or we may feel discouraged if we can't write the perfect page, abandoning the task altogether. However, when we focus on progress, we realize that even a small effort, whether it's a 10-minute workout or writing a few sentences, moves us forward. The key is showing up and doing the work, even if it's not perfect. Perfection is an unattainable goal, but progress is always within reach. It's also important to remember that the process is not just about taking action, it's also about cultivating the right mindset. A growth mindset, as opposed to a fixed mindset, emphasizes the belief that we can develop our abilities over time through effort and learning. By adopting a growth mindset, we embrace the idea that we can improve with practice and persistence. This mindset encourages us to focus on the journey rather than the outcome. When we approach challenges with a growth mindset, we're less likely to become discouraged by setbacks and more likely to stay committed to the process, trusting that each step forward brings us closer to our goals. When we talk about small, consistent improvements, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that we should always be striving for grand results or major changes. However, this focus on the big picture can often lead to frustration, burnout, and even failure. The real power lies in building momentum through those seemingly small efforts that compound over time, creating exponential growth in our lives. Momentum is the unseen force that pushes us forward, making it easier to continue making progress, even when things get tough. It is the key to sustaining improvement, especially when the journey seems long or the results slow to appear. Think about the first steps you take toward a goal. At the beginning, progress can feel slow. You might not see immediate results, and the work can feel tedious. But as you continue to show up and take small actions consistently, you begin to build momentum. Each step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goal. And as you build momentum, you begin to experience the power of those small actions coming together to create something greater than you could have imagined. What initially seemed like a small change starts to have a much bigger impact, and suddenly progress feels easier. Incremental works because of the compounding effect, the idea that small actions, when repeated consistently over time, add up to something significant. Imagine you are working to improve your fitness. At first, you might only be able to do a few push-ups, but you commit to doing just one more push-up every day. Over time, that daily 1% improvement builds up, and eventually you're doing a significantly higher number of push-ups than you could when you started. The initial struggle might have been difficult, but now your body has adapted to the work, and you can do much more with much less effort. The more you commit to these small daily actions, the easier they become, and the more progress you make. The process of building momentum is not just about making progress in one specific area of life, it applies to all areas of personal growth. Whether it's working on your health, improving your relationships, or developing new skills, the principle of building momentum through small improvements is universally applicable. The more you show up and commit to the work, the more progress you make, and the more motivated you become to continue. Momentum builds upon itself, creating a snowball effect that propels you forward. One of the reasons momentum is so powerful is that it helps us overcome resistance. Resistance is that feeling of inertia, that voice in our heads that tells us to quit, that we aren't good enough, or that the effort isn't worth it. Resistance is strongest at the beginning of a new goal, when we're not yet seeing results, and it can be incredibly discouraging. But once we start building momentum, resistance loses its power. We begin to trust the process, knowing that the work we're putting in is paying off, even if we can't always see the results immediately. For example, let's say you've decided to learn a new language. In the beginning, it's overwhelming. You might struggle to remember words, pronounce things correctly, or keep up with lessons, but each day you commit to studying for just 15 minutes. Over time, those 15 minutes add up. Gradually, you learn new words, build your vocabulary, and start to feel more comfortable with the language. The more you stick with it, the more progress you make, and the easier it becomes to continue. Eventually, you reach a point where studying doesn't feel like a chore, it's become part of your routine, and the resistance has faded. Momentum has taken over, and the work feels effortless. Another way momentum helps is by boosting our confidence. When we start to see progress, even if it's small, it reinforces the belief that we are capable of achieving our goals. Every small victory builds our confidence, and this confidence makes it easier to keep going. Momentum creates a positive feedback loop. Every small improvement increases our belief in our abilities, which fuels even more progress. As we continue to take action, the results become more tangible, and our belief in ourselves grows stronger. Building momentum also teaches us patience. In today's world, we are often conditioned to expect quick results. We want instant gratification, and we want to see big changes right away. However, true, lasting growth doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and consistency. Momentum teaches us that small, consistent actions will eventually pay off, even if it doesn't happen immediately. It teaches us to trust the process and to be patient with ourselves, knowing that every small step is contributing to our overall progress. The beauty of momentum is that it doesn't just apply to external achievements, it also changes the way we view our inner growth. As we make small improvements in areas like our mindset, emotional resilience, and self-discipline, we build momentum internally. We become more self-aware, more self-compassionate, and more able to handle the ups and downs of life. Building momentum isn't just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who can consistently show up, stay focused, and keep moving forward, regardless of setbacks or obstacles. This process of building momentum through small improvements also allows us to be more flexible. When we focus on daily, incremental progress, we're less likely to become rigid in our approach. We can adjust our methods as we go, learning from mistakes and adapting to changing circumstances. Momentum gives us the energy to keep trying new things and to adapt our strategies when necessary, without losing sight of the overall goal. The key to building momentum is consistency. It's easy to get motivated at the beginning of a new project, but the real challenge is sticking with it when motivation wanes. This is where the power of momentum comes in. It keeps us going when our motivation runs low. As we continue to take small actions each day, we begin to see the results, and the process becomes self-sustaining. Momentum carries us forward, even on the days when we don't feel like putting in the work. Over time, momentum becomes a force that we can rely on to keep us moving toward our goals. It propels us forward even when we encounter setbacks or obstacles. And as we continue to make small daily improvements, we become stronger, more capable, and more resilient. Momentum doesn't just help us achieve our goals, it transforms the way we approach life itself. By focusing on consistent, incremental progress, we create a positive feedback loop that propels us toward success, one small step at a time. When we begin the journey of self-improvement, it's easy to become consumed by the notion of achieving a specific outcome, such as reaching a particular weight, acquiring a new skill, or hitting a financial goal. We fixate on these end results because they are tangible, measurable, and clear markers of success. However, the real key to sustained progress lies in the commitment to show up every day, regardless of how we feel or what obstacles we encounter. Consistency isn't about always being perfect or making massive leaps every day. It's about the quiet, continuous effort that compounds over time, building habits and reinforcing our commitment to improvement. Showing up every day is the foundation of long-term success. At its core, showing up every day is a practice of discipline and resilience. It's easy to be motivated when things are going well, when we feel energized or inspired. But motivation ebbs and flows. Some days we don't feel like putting in the work. We might be tired, distracted, or discouraged by a setback. On these days, it's easy to make excuses or convince ourselves that we'll do it tomorrow. However, real progress doesn't come from the days when everything is going perfectly. It comes from showing up even when we don't feel like it. The commitment to keep going, regardless of how we feel, is what makes consistency so powerful. One of the reasons showing up every day is so important is because it builds momentum. The more consistently we take action, the more progress we make, and the more we begin to see results. These small, consistent efforts accumulate over time, creating a sense of achievement and boosting our motivation. This momentum fuels our desire to keep going, making it easier to stay committed, even when things get difficult. Each day we show up, we strengthen our ability to keep going, and we build trust in ourselves that we will follow through. But showing up every day also teaches us patience. Many of us are conditioned to expect quick results and immediate gratification. We live in a world that celebrates instant success, whether it's a viral video, a quick fix diet, or a fast-track career. The desire for quick results can make the process of self-improvement feel discouraging, especially when we don't see instant changes. However, consistency is the antidote to impatience. When we show up every day, we accept that improvement takes time. It's not about overnight transformations, it's about gradual, steady progress. The small actions we take each day may seem insignificant at first, but over time they compound into meaningful changes. This process of showing up every day is also incredibly powerful because it allows us to develop resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, and we might feel like giving up. But when we commit to showing up every day, even on the tough days, we learn to navigate those challenges with grace and determination. We realize that setbacks are a natural part of the journey, not a reason to quit. Showing up every day builds our mental and emotional strength, making us more capable of handling adversity in the future. The more we face these challenges and continue moving forward, the more resilient we become. In addition to building resilience, showing up every day also helps us develop self-discipline. Discipline is the ability to stay focused on our goals, even when distractions or temptations arise. It's easy to get sidetracked by the busyness of life or the allure of comfort and convenience. But when we commit to showing up every day, we reinforce the habit of focusing on what truly matters. We learn to prioritize our long-term goals over short-term pleasures, making choices that align with our values and aspirations. This consistent effort builds our willpower and helps us stay on track, even when the path isn't always easy. Showing up every day also helps us build a sense of identity. As we continue to take action, we begin to see ourselves as the kind of person who follows through, who is committed to growth, and who doesn't give up. This shift in identity is incredibly powerful because it influences our behavior and decision-making. When we see ourselves as someone who shows up every day, we naturally make choices that reflect that belief. It becomes a part of who we are. And as a result, we become more aligned with our goals and values. This alignment makes it easier to stay consistent, even when the journey gets tough. The process of showing up every day also teaches us to embrace the small victories along the way. We often overlook the minor achievements because they don't seem significant in the moment. For example, if we're working on getting fit, we might not celebrate the fact that we exercised for 15 minutes today or that we ate a healthy meal. But these small actions are the building blocks of larger success. When we show up every day, we begin to recognize the value of these small victories, and they motivate us to keep going. Celebrating progress, no matter how small, helps us stay positive and reinforces the idea that consistency is what leads to lasting change. Moreover, showing up every day allows us to track our progress and identify areas for improvement. When we commit to consistent action, we create a routine that allows us to reflect on where we are and where we want to go. Regular practice helps us develop self-awareness, and with that awareness, we can adjust our approach to become even more effective. For instance, if we're learning a new skill, showing up every day allows us to notice patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. This insight helps us refine our efforts and make better decisions moving forward. When we look at the process of self-improvement, it often seems like a long, arduous journey. We set goals, make plans, and envision the person we want to become. However, what most people fail to realize is that this journey doesn't always unfold in a straight line. It's not always about the big breakthroughs or dramatic shifts, but rather the quiet, incremental progress we make each day. The key to consistent growth is understanding that even on the days when we feel like we aren't making big strides, the small, consistent actions we take are what truly matter. This is where the concept of improvement by just 1% every day comes into play. It might seem insignificant in the moment, but this gradual progress is what leads to massive, long-term change. One of the most powerful aspects of this approach is the cumulative effect it has over time. Imagine improving by just 1% every day. On day 1, the change might be so small that it's almost imperceptible. However, by day 30, you're 30% better than you were when you started. By day 365, you're nearly 37 times better than you were a year ago. This compounding effect shows how small, daily actions build up over time to create extraordinary results. It's a concept known as the compound effect, and it's one of the most powerful tools for achieving long-term success. In the beginning, this concept can be hard to grasp because it feels like you're not seeing immediate results. Our society often promotes instant gratification, and we are used to getting quick feedback or rewards. So when you're improving just 1% a day, it might seem like you're not doing enough, especially when compared to people who appear to make rapid progress. But here's the truth: big transformations don't happen overnight. They happen through the steady, deliberate, and consistent effort over time. In fact, the journey of improvement by 1% every day is often more sustainable than attempting massive changes all at once. People who set overly ambitious goals without a clear, manageable plan to burn out quickly. They may experience bursts of motivation, but that energy fades as the goal seems more distant or impossible. On the other hand, improving by 1% each day allows you to focus on small, manageable actions. These small changes are easier to stick with, and they accumulate to create significant results. Small improvements also make the process less overwhelming. Rather than trying to overhaul your entire life at once, you're making one small positive change consistently every single day. Over time, these changes become habits that are ingrained in your routine, making them much easier to maintain. Another powerful aspect of improving 1% every day is that it fosters a mindset of continuous learning. We often think of self-improvement as a destination. Once we reach a certain level, we're done. However, personal growth is a lifelong journey, and the moment we stop learning, we stop improving. Committing to small daily improvements encourages a mindset of curiosity, self-reflection, and openness to new ideas. Instead of focusing solely on the result, you learn to appreciate the process of becoming better and more capable. This mindset shift helps you embrace challenges and setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles that prevent you from reaching your goal. When you improve 1% every day, you become less attached to perfection and more focused on progress. It's about the journey, not the destination. This approach builds resilience. There will undoubtedly be days when things don't go as planned, when setbacks occur, or when progress feels slow. But if you're focused on small improvements, it's easier to persevere. You understand that one-off day or even a week of struggles doesn't define your progress. As long as you show up and put in the work, no matter how small the effort, you're moving forward. This resilience is critical for long-term success. Life is full of ups and downs, and staying committed to your growth, even when things aren't going perfectly, is what helps you achieve your ultimate goals. In addition to building resilience, this method of gradual improvement helps you become more self-disciplined. Discipline isn't about pushing yourself to the limit, it's about showing up day in and day out, regardless of how you feel. It's about having the mental toughness to follow through, even when motivation is low. Improving by 1% each day requires a commitment to consistency. It's easy to let a day slide, but if you make the decision to show up, even when you don't feel like it, you build the habit of self-discipline. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to stay on track and achieve your goals, no matter the obstacles that may arise. A huge benefit of improving 1% every day is that it helps you build confidence in your abilities. When you take consistent action, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. You start to trust yourself more because you're proving to yourself that you can do hard things, even when the progress feels slow. As you build confidence in your ability to show up and improve, you also begin to trust in the process. You understand that your small daily efforts are leading you toward your goals, and this gives you the motivation to keep going. Another key element to this approach is that it allows you to make adjustments along the way. When you're focused on incremental progress, you're able to regularly assess how things are going. If something isn't working, you can make small changes to improve. If you're making progress but not at the speed you'd like, you can adjust your approach without feeling overwhelmed. This adaptability allows you to continue moving forward without getting stuck or discouraged. You're not trying to force progress in a particular direction, but instead you're letting your improvements naturally unfold. This method of improving 1% every day also encourages patience. In a world that often prioritizes speed and immediate results, learning to be patient with the process is a powerful skill. You come to understand that true, lasting change doesn't happen quickly, it happens through consistent effort over time. By committing to small, incremental progress, you learn to appreciate the journey and trust that the results will come when the time is right. Improving by 1% every day teaches you to embrace the power of small wins. Every day you make progress, no matter how small, you're moving closer to your goal. These daily victories, when added up, create a sense of accomplishment that fuels your desire to continue. Instead of waiting for a big win or milestone, you celebrate the small wins along the way, which reinforces the idea that progress, no matter how minor, is worth celebrating. In the end, the key to personal growth is not about making massive changes all at once, but about committing to small, consistent improvements every day. By improving 1% each day, you build momentum, resilience, and discipline. You cultivate a mindset of continuous learning, adaptability, and patience, all of which are necessary for long-term success. The small changes you make today will compound into extraordinary results tomorrow. So commit to improving just 1% every day and watch as it transforms not only your life but also your understanding of what's possible. One of the most profound shifts in personal development comes from embracing the idea that success is not just about grand gestures, big actions, or major breakthroughs. Instead, success is the culmination of small, consistent actions that compound over time. The habit of improving by just 1% each day, even in seemingly insignificant ways, is a powerful tool for sustainable progress. When we focus on these small daily improvements, we take ownership of our growth, which in turn helps us to align our actions with our long-term aspirations. The first aspect to recognize about improving 1% every day is that it's not about perfection. It's about progress. The constant pursuit of perfection can often paralyze us, preventing us from taking action at all. We may fear that if we can't do something perfectly, we shouldn't try it at all. This all-or-nothing mentality can be incredibly limiting. However, when we shift our mindset toward incremental improvement, we begin to let go of the need for perfection. Each small improvement becomes a building block in the process of mastering a skill, achieving a goal, or creating a life we are proud of. With this mindset, we are free to experiment, learn from our mistakes, and take risks without the burden of unrealistic expectations. When we focus on improving by 1% every day, we also begin to build momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in achieving success. It is the energy that propels us forward when we feel like we can't keep going. Small, consistent actions are the key to generating momentum. By taking action every day, even in small ways, we start to create a positive feedback loop where progress leads to more progress. Each day that we improve, even by a small margin, we begin to feel more confident, more capable, and more committed to our goals. Over time, this momentum accelerates, and the effort we put in each day begins to compound. The key to creating momentum is showing up every day, no matter how small the improvement might seem at the time. Small improvements every day also give us the freedom to course correct along the way. Life is unpredictable, and we rarely follow a straight path to success. There will always be bumps in the road, detours, and unexpected setbacks. When we aim for small, consistent improvements, we become more flexible and adaptable to change. Instead of feeling discouraged by setbacks, we can assess what went wrong, make adjustments, and continue moving forward. This adaptability is crucial for long-term success. It allows us to keep progressing even when the road isn't as smooth as we imagined. The beauty of focusing on daily improvements is that we can make incremental adjustments as we go, refining our methods and approaches based on what we've learned. Another benefit of improving 1% every day is that it prevents burnout. We often hear about the dangers of overwork and the importance of rest, but there's also a danger in trying to make massive improvements all at once. When we push ourselves too hard in the beginning, it can be overwhelming. We set lofty goals and expect rapid results, but this kind of intensity is difficult to maintain. Instead of aiming for dramatic changes that require tremendous energy, improving by 1% each day allows us to create a balanced, sustainable pace. We can take small steps forward every day without exhausting ourselves. This balance between progress and rest is crucial for long-term growth. When we work consistently, at a pace that feels manageable, we avoid burnout and remain energized and motivated to continue improving. In addition to preventing burnout, small, daily improvements help us to build self-discipline. Discipline is not about forcing ourselves to work hard, it's about creating habits that naturally lead to growth. By committing to improving by 1% every day, we establish routines and rituals that support our goals. This consistency is the foundation of discipline. We don't have to rely on willpower or motivation to get things done because the habit itself becomes a driving force. Self-discipline becomes a natural part of our daily routine, making it easier to keep going even when motivation fades. The small improvements that we make each day reinforce our commitment to our goals, and over time, these habits become ingrained in our daily lives. This approach builds resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from challenges, setbacks, and failures. In the pursuit of any meaningful goal, we will inevitably face obstacles. Life is full of challenges that can test our resolve. However, when we focus on small, daily improvements, we develop the mental toughness necessary to persevere. We understand that setbacks don't define us, they are simply part of the process. By committing to the process of gradual improvement, we train ourselves to face adversity with strength and determination. Each day that we show up and continue moving forward, no matter how small the step, we build resilience. This resilience makes it easier to weather the storms that come our way and continue.